In the previous video, we looked at the practices involved in software project management, right? So what all are the important tasks that a software project manager does, such as forming and managing the development team, project scheduling, project estimation, risk management, and so on. So in this video, we'll be talking about project estimation techniques. So before we look at the actual techniques used for estimation, let's reflect on why it is important to do project estimation. So one is to establish the cost of the project, right? So I need to know how much money is required to build the software, and this information has to be communicated to the clients. Second, I also need to establish a schedule for the project, right? I need to know when the project is likely to get completed. And as the project is moving along, is it on schedule? Is it behind schedule? How many people are required? All these depend on the estimates of the project. Also, from the client's perspective, when they bid for software projects, these cost and schedule estimates must be provided to the clients for the development contract. And of course, it is not possible to accurately establish or estimate the exact cost and the schedule. And these estimates, it depends on the level of information available about the project. So the more detailed information we have about the project, the more accurate the estimation can be. So now let's reflect on this question on what all can be estimated in a project, right? So let's say you are running a company and you are bidding for software projects. So what are the key parameters that you will provide an estimate for? So what are the key parameters that are required to do project estimation? You can pause this video and think about some parameters before proceeding. So let's look at some key estimation parameters, right? So some of you might have thought about the size of the code, that is the number of lines of code. Yes, this is important to estimate the number of lines of code, and the number of lines of code is usually represented as KLOC, which is number of 1000 lines of code. So one KLOC is 1000 lines of code. So this is one estimation parameter. But if you think about it, the size of the code alone cannot be provided to the clients, right? Especially to justify the cost. So another key estimation parameter is effort, right? And this is also an important parameter. And based on this, we can determine how many people are required to form the team, right? And in the software industry, effort is usually measured in terms of person month. So one person month is the effort an individual can typically put in a month. So let's take an example. Let's say a project, it requires 12 person months of development time. Right, so let's assume that we have estimated this quantity. We will see how we can do this estimation, but let's say we have got an estimate that this project requires 12 person months of development time. So what that means is, if there are 12 people, then this project, and if all these 12 people work on this project for 1 month, then this project can get completed, right? So if we have only 4 developers, that means this project will require 3 months. And if we have just 2 developers, then it will require 6 months. So you might think it is better to think in terms of, total hours. How much hours does the entire project take? But work is often expressed in person month units because it is easier to get a feel for how many people might be needed to finish the development work in a fixed time. So now that we have looked at some key estimation parameters, let's look at project estimation techniques. So one broad estimation technique is empirical estimation, right? And what this means is we ask experts, we ask people who have completed similar projects in the past, and they provide estimates for us for this new project. Another type of estimation technique is using heuristics, right? And what this means is relationships that exist between different parameters, like we saw effort, time. These can be modeled using suitable mathematical expressions. So we'll be looking at heuristic techniques also in this video. Cut. So now let us look at some empirical estimation techniques. Right? One popular empirical estimation technique is to use expert's judgment, right? So an expert, he or she makes an educated guess about the problem size after analyzing the problem thoroughly, right? They estimate the cost of different components in the system, and then they combine all these estimates for the individual modules to arrive at the overall estimate. So now that we have seen what expert judgment is, what do you think are drawbacks of this method? What are the drawbacks of asking an expert to give the estimates for the project? You can pause this video and think about some drawbacks before proceeding. Okay, so now let's look at some drawbacks of expert judgment, right? So one is these experts are humans and hence they can make errors. They can have some individual biases towards a particular technology or a particular framework. And hence, because of this, they might give some optimistic estimates based on their expertise. And also maybe if they want the contract to be won, then they might give even more optimistic estimates. Another drawback is that they might overlook some factors, right? They might not have adequate knowledge in particular areas. So for example, they might be very knowledgeable in the database and the user interface part, but they might lack knowledge about maybe additional modules or additional plugins. And because of this, they cannot accurately provide an estimation. So, but do you think this can be solved by a group of experts? So yes, maybe to an extent, but still the entire group can also be biased, right? And the decision made by the group, it may be dominated by some members who are overly assertive or maybe some senior members. So they might influence the decision of the entire group. So to overcome the drawbacks of expert judgment, the Delphi technique can be used. So what is the Delphi technique? So in this technique, we have a group of experts and we have a coordinator. So the coordinator provides each expert with a copy of the SRS, the requirements, and a form for recording the cost estimates. So the experts go through the requirements, the SRS, the different modules, and then they provide their estimates and they submit their estimates to the coordinator. Note that each of these experts are submitting it individually. They are not discussing with each other. And what the coordinator does is the coordinator prepares a summary and distributes it to all the estimators, to the experts. Now the experts look at this summary, and based on this, they re-estimate based on all the comments from all the experts. And note that these comments are still anonymous. Experts do not know who has provided the estimation. And this process is iterated over several rounds, and the coordinator compiles the results and prepares the final estimate. So as we saw, there's no discussion between the experts is allowed during the entire estimation process, because some experts or some people can get influenced by an experienced or a senior estimator. And after several rounds of iterations, the coordinator takes responsibility of compiling all the results and prepares the final estimate.